Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. We are still in the mood of Christmas, right? And today we are still having conversations as we've had all this while. We've been having conversations with authors that have been published under the Warrior brand, and it's been an amazing summit. Today we are continuing the conversations, and we will be wrapping up tomorrow with these conversations. Today I also have another powerful personality in our midst, a very fine, beautiful woman. I like to sit down with beautiful women because they enter my eye, and I like them like that.
Oh
So
my
today we
goodness.
have we have a beautiful woman in our midst. Her name is Nike. I call her Nikki, and I don't care what anybody, even the husbands have no feet tell me waiting to call her. That's what I decided and I chose. I've been calling her. All right, so we have Nikki in our midst today. She's going to be having conversations with me on authoring yourself into authority, wealth, and fame. She's an accomplished personality. She's done amazing stuff. Especially, there's a question I'm going to be asking her, especially in her chosen field, that is just unique in every sense of it. So, welcome, guys. As usual, if you are tuning in, let's know where you are tuning in from. My apologies that I may be looking dark today. We're on holiday and I didn't come back with my with my with my my lights.
Ring light.
Apologies for that. In an apartment, there are also so many lights around, so it's all casting in my face. But I hope that you can see my face. Okay, so as usual, wherever you are tuning in from, please let us know in the comment section. If you're in Nigeria, drop your name and drop your location. Let's know where you're tuning in from, and then we can say hello to you. All right. So as you're doing that, let me welcome my guest for today on the show. Her name is Nike Folagbade, and as I said, I call her Nikki for short. Okay, don't call her. I'm the only one that calls her that name. Only one. Everybody knows that I'm the only one. All right. So Nikki, welcome to the
Thank you.
live stream. Good to have you. All right. So people may have known who you are by your bio and all the things, but let us know. As we say, you're not the horse, but they say from the horse's mouth. Let us know from the human being's mouth, maybe other things that we need to know about you, and then give us a journey of how you have lived, maybe from birth, childhood to education to the journey that you're on now, as we begin to have conversations to this afternoon. Go ahead, Mom.
All right. Thank you so much, Emeka Nubis, for that beautiful welcome. My name is Nika Folagbade, and I'm a marriage life coach. I'm a marriage counselor and family life coach. I work with singles, I work with engaged couples, and I also work with married people. I am always interested in helping married people navigate difficult relationships, difficult situations. So when I see issues that looks very complex, I know that I can handle it because I've been prepared for it. So when I also see singles who are about to make mistakes with their choice of, partners, I can almost discern it and let them know that, hey, this is not a place you want to step into. And it's been almost 10 years of working with singles, with engaged couples, and with married people. I've been able to create different platforms that expresses the different dimensions of myself. I run a coaching business with Nike Folagbade International. I also have a platform for the singles, engaged, and married on Love and Life Up, where we have courses, we have community, we have resources, we have support coaches that helps all of these people navigate through their journey. I also run a ministry expression, Light in the Hack, where we also help singles and married people and just teach them how to build a kingdom marriage, build a kingdom relationship. I also run a tech business where I help coaches and counselors who want to profit, who want to launch, who want to really be visible in this space. We help them with content creation, with websites, with building a personal brand, and really just making profits with their online courses and all of that. So I also run a faith-based discipleship for women who are going through a difficult stage in their marriage, which is Warrior Bright Network. And through that platform, we help them to elevate their identity, to heal from the issues that they've been struggling with, that has really made them to lose themselves in their marriage. And through the person that they become, they then begin to transform their marriage or even transform themselves. So everything that I do is really just around helping people discover themselves, heal emotionally, um, build the right relationship and marriages, and heal from sexual addictions also. And what I do is transgenerational, which means I'm not just working with you for you, I'm working with you for the sake of your family members. So when people work with me, it kind of transcends into their brothers, their sisters, their mothers and father, and they come back, after like few months to say, hey, this is what has happened because I encountered you, and I'm just so blessed to be able to help people that way. So for me, my journey really started from a very young age, just like David in the Bible or Joseph in the Bible, where these are people who discover themselves at a very young age. For me, I think I was about between 7 to 10, I just noticed that I have this strong passion and burden for anything love and relationships. So those periods when my dad would buy newspapers, magazines, I was not interested in the news or the politics and all of that. And my dad used to abuse me a lot those periods. I used to always open up those sections where we have love articles, relationship articles, and I would be so fascinated by them. I would just spend time reading it, and I did not even understand what it is I was reading because I was too young. But I just know that I loved it. I just loved it. And after a while, I graduated into falling in love with Indian movies because of the poems and all of the love illustrations. I would write down a lot of things. And that's why I said to really just write. And I remember that those periods when I would watch Oprah Winfrey, I would look at her and say that I want to someday be able to inspire my own generation. Like I want to have a talk show. I want to be a narrator. I want to speak. I want to teach. And those periods, I'll take the remote control in the house. I'll speak to the chairs, speak to the tables, and they listen to me actually. And it used to be fun. I used to, at that age, I think around 10, 11, 12. At this point, I started to really desire to have an institution where we can train the singles, prepare the engaged people, and also help the married people to navigate their homes. Now, I was too young to understand these things, but when Joseph was very young, God sowed a seed into his life by giving him a dream. And even though that dream at that point was not very clear, that was what changed the trajectory of his life. And that was what decided how he spent his life. Everything that happened to him, from the rejection to the slavery to the temptation, everything was building him for that very place he was still going to go to. So he didn't just become a prime minister just like that. He actually got there because of the leadership capacity, the navigations he has gone through, and all of that. So for me, at that age, I was thinking institution. I wasn't just thinking I would be a writer. I wasn't just thinking I would write books. Beyond that, I just felt like I was going to be a leading person in that space. And even though I'd never seen it happen, I didn't know if there were anybody that were doing it at that time. I just knew that I was going to do it. And after a while, I got busy with school, her life, and so I didn't even think about this dream anymore. I just forgot about it. And this moment, the only thing that I wanted to become was an accountant. And the reason was that my dad had a lot of accounting books in the house, and because that was what was familiar to me, because that was the only thing in my environment, I just started to. I think you can still hear me because my head dropped, just whatever. So back to what I was saying. So at that moment,
Nikki, we can't hear you anymore.
you
We
can't hear
can't
me
hear you.
anymore. Okay.
Okay, I can hear you
Sorry,
now.
let me take it. Sorry, hold on. Okay. So can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, okay. So the fact that I was very familiar with accounting books everywhere in the house, I started to dream of being an accountant. And I remember that I went into accounting. I tried to do my best. I tried to excel, but at the end of the day, I think when I was in 200 level in school, I did not feel like I was in the right space anymore. It felt like I was doing something that my dad wanted in his own life, not what I wanted. And all of a sudden, I would sit down by myself and just start to seek for my purpose. And I start to sit down and say, what exactly was I born to do? So beyond going to the school, go to church, just with my friends, is there any other thing? So as I started to, desire to know so much more about my purpose, I started to try different things. I tried to be an ushering girl, it didn't work. Tried to be a model, it didn't work. Tried to do so many things, but it didn't work. And then one day, not so long since I started to seek for my life purpose, I just stumbled on this. this seminar that we were going to do in my school, where we are going to have Steve Harris, Damnola Luatoibo, Samson Latunde, and so many other people that we have today. And even though it was just costing 500 naira, and at that time, 500 naira would be like maybe 5,000 or 7,000 naira at in our current currency and all of that. And I was the only one among all my friends who chose to go for it. Every other person had an excuse that they wanted to use their money to, cook or to barb their hair or to make their hair. But for me, I didn't have enough. But I just took that money and I said I was going to pay for it. And I think at that time, my monthly upkeep was like 5,000 naira. I can't even remember. It wasn't enough for me to survive. But from that money, I paid for the seminar. And that was my breakthrough moment. I remember listening to Steve Harris. And as I started to listen to him, as he shared his story, it felt like somebody like myself was standing on the stage. And I started to say to myself, I want to change lives this way. And in that moment, it just felt like the heavens opened. And I was just anointed with a different level of grace. I don't even know how to explain it, but I used to be very timid, very shy, wouldn't talk in public settings. And I by myself, I just went straight to church. I used to be in a large church, and I went to them and said I wanted to start anchoring. So I said to myself, how do I learn how to speak? Let me start by anchoring events, and that's how I went to meet them. And even though I was not taught, nobody taught me, nobody groomed me, I became the best anchor in my church till I graduated. And then I also wanted to learn how to write. So I told my friend, I'll give you money to buy data. Can you set up a blog for me? Is there a place that I can put my thoughts and people can read? And he was like, oh yeah, definitely. And that's how I started blogging on my WordPress site that period. And it was so exciting to have people from different parts of the world comment. I remember those times my friends used to laugh at me. I would take their phones, and when I take their phones, I'll just be like, I want to make a comment on my blog. And they'll be like, why writing a comment with my phone? I'm like, I just want to encourage myself that people are reading. And those periods, I'll take their phones, I'll put a comment, I'll go back to my home phone. I'll be so excited that somebody has put a comment, even though I was the one. And they will all laugh at me and say, all these things you're doing doesn't make any sense. And, everybody around me will tell me women are supposed to just, go to just get married, get a job in ministry, have time for your children, close by 4 p.m. All these things you're doing, just rubbish and all of that. People will come and say, this thing, you cannot make money from me. This thing does not make sense. I just heard a lot of negative stuff. But then I did not, every single time I wanted to give up, there was always someone who will come and say, hey, Nika, you've not shared an article today. Hey, Nika, I need you to help me with my relationship. Hey, Nika, don't listen to those things.
Nikki, I don't know why your I don't know why your voice is kind of low. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
is it possible to increase the volume? I don't know.
Is it better now?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm using an AirPod. I don't know if that's the reason. So let me just try and speak louder. So I was saying that at some point I started to have a lot of discouraging comments, that almost stopped me from going on in this, career that I was building in this field that I was in. It just felt like it wasn't working, but I continued to press on. I continued to do what I needed to do. I invested in seminars. I paid for all sort of things. I remember because I had prayed and said, Lord, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And the moment I prayed for that, what happened next was that God opened an avenue for me to attend a seminar that I had to pay for. So I did not say that, oh, because I prayed, then an angel should just appear in my room and tell me this is what you're supposed to be doing. No, I didn't hear anything. I just went for that seminar, and that was where I discovered that the things that the Lord had, deposited in my heart at a very young age, that I could start in that moment. And I started by paying 500 naira for the seminar, pay 500 naira to my website guy to set up my blog. I walked up to the pastor of the church and said, can I start to anchor event here? So that's how I started to write, and that's how I started um, to also anchor in that moment. So these were the ways that I was building my skills in that moment. And then later on, as I continued to do what I was doing, I was so consistent every single day, show up, posting a blog every day, no reward, no money, but I just kept on doing it. For at least for the first 2 years or first 3 years that I was doing what I was doing, there was no sense of reward in terms of monetary value. But the fact that people were sending me comments to say, hey, you changed my life, oh, you inspire me, oh, you give me reasons to keep going, was enough for me at that moment. And at some point, I started to know when it was time to write about something because the burden was becoming too much, the pressure was becoming too much. So somehow, this is how I've had to build my journey so far. And at some point, the Lord started to expand my work and say, hey, it's time for you to go into marriage counseling because I used to just work with singles and I had to go through a lot of process to be able to qualify for that. And from there, I've been able to impact a lot of families all around the world. It's been an exciting journey. But let me just leave it here so that I allow you to have more questions. Um, so I'm done. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikki, for this brief rundown of your journey so far. I've had these conversations with you many times, regarding the spiritual aspect of what you do, and you have a peculiarity with regards to helping individuals in their relationships. And sometimes you've told me that people tend not to understand it. Sometimes individuals tend to see you as eccentric. Sometimes they feel that you're overboard, and it's difficult sometimes to. But the people that you reach out to who have these problems tend to understand you. So I want to ask, why did you choose that particular journey, where sometimes even people who are in the same community of what you do in terms of relationship don't even understand you sometimes? And I don't know if you guys have clashes or whatever, but then why did you choose that peculiar niche? And how has it been helping individuals who have the problems that you're solving?
Okay. Okay, so that's a fantastic question, Mr. Maker. So, at first, when I was working with singles, I was always writing in a very general way for people to understand me. As I started to go for trainings, I started to hear things like, you don't have to sound Christianish. Just serve the whole word. Speak a language that everybody can understand, whether they're Buddhists, Muslims, and all of that. And it was a fantastic one. I remember that there was a time I'd written a book that period where I had Bible verses in it, and I started to remove it to say, hey, I want to sound in a way that people can understand me. But what I noticed was the more I was listening to this counsel, the more I was having a clash in my spirit, the more it just felt like something was wrong. But I started to ignore my intuition. I was ignoring it, and it got so bad that I would go for a seminar, maybe a virtual program. And while I'm done writing what I wanted to teach them, one of them will send me a message to say, "Hey, you did a great job, fantastic." And while you were teaching, the Holy Spirit said, "I should say to you that you have another assignment that requires the spiritual preparation that you're avoiding, and it's just saying that I should let you know that it's waiting for you to do that." Or another time, I held a physical seminar, and I remember that one of them who had come on that day sent me a message the next day saying, "Hey, Nikki, when I was praying, I felt like God gave me a message for you, but I don't know if you're open to it." And I said, "Oh, what's that?" And it was like, the Lord said I should tell you to take your calling as like your coaching career as a calling, and He wants you to prepare in, not just writing basic stuff that everybody knows and all of that. And the more I was hearing these things, I'll go meet one of my mentors and say, "This is the instruction I've been getting." Even my mom, who didn't know what I was doing that period, called me and said, "I have a message for you. I don't know what you're doing. I'm not really sure. I'm not online, so I don't really know what you're doing. But the Lord said I should tell you to add into what you're doing." That's how she said. And I started to argue with her, like, "What do you mean? Do you know what I do? And what do you mean by I should add and all of that?" I started to ignore these things because my mentors at that time were just like, "Ah, Nick, I don't listen to all these people. You just have to sound universal to be accepted." So I kind of ignored it. So the more I ignored it, the more God was looking at me and saying, "Okay, no problem, keep ignoring it." And then I got married, and a lot of things started to happen. And then all of a sudden, it just felt as if everything that I was doing didn't make sense anymore. It just felt like there was closed doors. People that were always interested in what I was saying started to lose interest in what I was saying. Everything I was trying to do, it felt like there was a struggle, and I was forced to shut down everything and just go back and say, "What's wrong?" And that was when I went for a program at that time that just changed my life at that moment. And it was in that program that, it started to become clear to me that the Lord had a journey for me that I needed to go in the marriage space. And I was avoiding it, and I was delaying my progress. Everywhere I go to, people will say, you have something you're supposed to be doing, but you're delaying it. And because you're delaying it, a lot of people are in bondage because of that. And this led me to private walk with God. And so he started to tell me a lot of things about how marriages are in disarray today because the enemy is attacking marriages using things that looks very obvious in our eyes, but that everybody has turned everything around to psychology alone, to science alone. And that while science and psychology explains these things in a very fantastic way, that there are certain things that only him can solve, and only the revelation that comes from God can actually put an end to, because some things are very generational in nature, some things are foundational in nature, some things are actually darkness. And one of the ways that it made me understand this was in Genesis chapter 1, where God created the world. The Bible says in that place that the earth was void, it was formless and empty and then dark. And that the first thing that he did was that the spirit hovered around the earth and said, let there be light. And there was light. And then when there was light and he saw that it was good, he then started to arrange everything accordingly. And so he was saying to me that a lot of people are helping those who are experiencing emptiness, which is identity issues, mindset issues, depression, anxiety, and also helping those who are having formlessness, which is, you need to learn how to communicate well, you need to learn how to speak love languages, create marital vision. And he said, what about the darkness? He said the light. He said, so religious spaces are helping, but because they don't have deep understanding as to how to help the married people, they just bring in a lot of religious jargons and just try to make mockery of the word of God, try to cause everything to look very spooky. And so somehow people who are trying to follow religion alone are left in a very blank space because they are avoiding science and psychology, and they're running here. So they are too extreme. Those who are going over to the psychology alone and refusing the spiritual counsel, and those who are going into spiritual counsel and refusing this one. And it says, no, it has to balance. He's the one who created the both sides. There has to be a balance and all of that. And it was like he was going to show me how a lot of manipulations are happening in homes where two people will get married, and all of a sudden there is hatred, there is disunity, there is lack of connection. All of a sudden the spouses are not interested in the marriage anymore. And then when people see it in their eyes, they just say things like, oh, it's because she's pressing the toothpaste like this, oh, it's because she did not do this like that. That is what they are hearing, but that it's deeper than that. And it's had to really open my eyes. And that was what led to this book, um untold secret direct marriages. Now, at that time, while I was going through that process, it didn't make sense. I was thinking that something was wrong with me. I didn't know who to share my experience with. I remember that there was a friend I had who I would call and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what God is saying to me. This is what He's showing to me. This thing looks very scary. It looks very dark. And I remember that I had a program one time with another relationship person, just like you asked me now. And I remember that on that day, when she was about to finish what she was saying, she just said to me in the midst of everybody and said, God is calling you to a space in the marriage industry that your colleagues are not going into. He says it's very dark and very lonely, but it's going to be the one to lead you so that you're going to give victory to many homes. And these were the periods where I was unsure, where I was questioning everything. And strangers who I did not tell anything will come on my programs or come to do something and then just give me these messages and to confirm everything that God was saying to me in the private. So at some point, God started to bring people my way who were going through these issues. So when they come to me, they will come and share it normally, the way that anybody would listen to it. So someone can come and share a lot about narcissist tendencies and share about how their partner is acting this way and that way. And on a normal day, I could bring in my certifications and bring in the theory that I understood and just try to place it in place. But then I would then just hold on with that and start to use the things that the Lord had taught me. And I started to ask them questions. I started to go deeper. And then sometimes as I'm speaking to them, the Lord is telling me this is what the problem is. And I will ask them and they'll just tell me. I could just say, what happened to you and your dad while you were young? And because of that thing that happened, it then opened up the door to the enemy to just invade the person's mind and cause the person to be in rebellion. And so everything that they do is just not going well. And all of these things started to happen. So the more people were coming and I would share something with them and they would say, how did you know that? But I don't get, how did you know that that's the problem? How did you, are you living in my house, or how did you get that so well? And when I'm saying this, they'll just be like, I don't get, are you like, so the more these things were happening, the more I started to have the courage that okay, I think that I've scratched something here. And so I just started to, even the people who are psychologists, the so-called coaches and counselors who are in my space, they started to book sessions with me to say there's something you're talking about and nobody's talking about it this way. I want to have a session with you, but you're gonna have to keep it confidential. And I'm like, oh sure, we definitely have a confidential stuff here. I just want to explain something to you that is actually in my family, and I'm just afraid that they come up in my marriage and all of that. And then they come, and I explain it to them as simple as ABC. So it felt like Joseph, how Joseph was able to interpret the dream of what's his name of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh was like, wow. We've never seen anyone like you. Then you should come and actually help these people because he was able to bring solution to something that had not been cracked. Do you see? So because of the nature of how I'm able to help people, there are times that people have certain kind of issues and their friends will tell them, go to Nika. Funny enough, sometimes even my colleague will be like, you know what, go meet Nika. She's the one that's going to help you with this. Because they have not started to understand. At first I was afraid. At first I was wondering what's wrong. And it's not like there's something spooky about what I'm saying. It's just the same things that we know. It's just that many of us have gone through these scriptures in the Bible and we have read it from the letter, from the surface. And so I'm able to sit you down and break it down for you. And you're just like, wow, I've never seen it that way before. Or I'm able to just look into your family and just say, this is what is wrong and this is what's causing it. And they're like, how did you know that? And so when the whole thing became too much, I was having too many sessions, my time was too bombarded. I had to write a book just so that I can help more people to explain it. So when people would get this book, Untold Secret Direct Marriages, and they would just start sending me messages. Some of them will read like maybe 10 pages, not so much, like 5 pages, 7 pages, and they would just bombard my chat and be like, oh my goodness, how did you know these things? You're too young to know this, blah blah blah. And I want more copies. I want to send it to my friends. And people started to buy 10 copies, 5 copies, and send it to their friends. And people I've never met, Canada, UK, everywhere in the world, they started to like, I need this book, and they'll be like, you changed my marriage, like you transformed my marriage, like we had separation. Now I understood what was going on. People started to feel this deliverance from this burden that they have carried for so long, thinking that they were bad people and all of that. They started to even spouses who were they were fighting with will sometimes find the book and say, huh, this title, they just open it and be like, what's this? And they're like, really? And they will drop it and act as if they didn't see the book. But when all of these things started to come, it started to look like, wow, what's happening here? And so the difference is I have to learn to embrace what the Lord had given to me as a gift. I have to learn to see that, okay, all of us are working on the same thing. It's just that some people are creating structure, some people are helping those with emptiness issue. But hi, I'm helping all of them. That's the funny thing. It's just that I will first start with the darkness and then go into all of this because I've been trained and I've gone through the experience that explains the rest. So I'm more like an institution carrying a lot of solutions. So even the other people can learn from me and I can also learn from them. So sometimes we work together. It's not a problem. It's not like we're fighting over anything. And I think that this has been the most rewarding journey of my life. I have coached singles for years, and I will tell you the truth, I've never been as blessed as I am now than I was when I was just trying to do it in my own way. I've had people send me lots and lots of money and gifts because they said you knew my story. I finally made sense. I thought I was crazy. I thought nobody understood what I was going through. How can a young girl like you understand all these things that I've been going through for years? And because of that, they'll just be dashing me stuff. Like I really mean it. Like I'm just living my life because I'm not struggling. So that's just how I'm going to put it for you. So everybody knows where they are. They now know that what Naked does, and so nobody's against me. I'm not against you. You're not against me. I'm just doing my thing. That's all. And funny thing is, I don't really talk so much about what I'm saying on social media. I just put it on the surface. It is those that come deeper that know that this is what I'm saying. So you have to like read my book, go through my programs for you to see the depth of what I'm saying. So even on just like Jesus used to speak parables, I'm not really saying too much online. I'm keeping it very simple. So there's nothing really, everything they are doing is what I can do. It's just that I'm coming out in a different space. Saimika. That's just the way I'm going to explain it.
Hmm, man, I like the fact that I liked one thing that you said. You found out that when a lot of individuals began to come, then a lot of people began to need your time, and then you had to put that in form of a book so that you could help as many individuals as possible. I want us to segue on that particular sentence of yours, remark of yours, and begin to share with us your authoring journey. You are able to reach to many people just with a single book. Instead of everybody coming for your time and making you feel overwhelmed. So take us on your authoring journey as you have begun to build authority, fame, and wealth as a result of writing. Um, the catch there is that you have been able to put all your experiences and knowledge and the things that you've gained on this journey in form of different books. And I know that you have the books available there with you. So show us those books. Tell us why you wrote the books and give us inroad into your authoring journey, how beautiful it has been, how impactful that it has been, the lives that you've touched. And then from there, we start to talk about the three concepts of authority, wealth, and fame.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so one thing I've noticed is that when everybody seeks for a solution, everybody somehow they're going through one thing or the other where they don't really understand what happened in their life. They just know that oh, it's either they're going through depression or they're going through anxiety or they're going through mind attacks or their marriage is not working well. Everybody just have one thing that they're struggling with. And the truth is when they find somebody who explains what they're going through in a clear format, they are able to say, oh, I connect with this person. Not everybody is going to be your target audience. The ones that are for you would find you, but you need to make it easy for them to find you. So when I started at first, what I noticed was I started to receive messages from people who were saying, please, I need help in this area. I need help in this area. And it was what I was sharing on a Facebook group. So I created a Facebook group and I started to share a lot of things there. And a lot of people started to bombard my DMs and my and comments and all of that. So I said to myself, how can I make it simple? So I wrote a free ebook. When I wrote this free ebook, I used Facebook ads to, spread it out there. And so I'll tell them to download the book. So when they download the book, they also join my Facebook group and then they start to receive emails like automations from me where they can, get access to other things. And as they were reading the book, very short ebook, and the title was straight to the point, How to Make a Marriage Work with a Difficult Partner. The funny thing was, because Nigerians can be very funny, the simple reason for that topic was if you feel like your partner is just so difficult, is so just acting very funny at all, definitely people use the word difficult in such situations. So I wasn't saying everybody should go and marry a difficult person. But you see, right inside the Facebook ads, we started to have people who were saying, "Oh wow, thank you so much for the book. It really helped me." And then we had people who by themselves were just creating an engagement for me. They would just go there and say, what do you mean? You mean someone to be married to a difficult partner? Hey, God forbid, I will never marry a difficult partner. I said the way they were just putting those comments there were just it was just helping my Facebook ads to make sense. So I was there, I was reaching more people with just more money. And so I was running that every single day. So people come and then they will say, I want to book a session. And then not too long, I was able to create a program. So it was the free content on the Facebook group, the free ebook. Come to my email, come to the Facebook group. From there, come and book a session or join my program. So when I created the program that period, those people who downloaded the book were the ones that joined the first batch of that program. And we've gone on to have like I think five batch, yeah, five batches so far. We're going to have the sixth one next this January, and we already have people sending messages to say, "Hey, when are you starting? I want to be a part of this and all." So what I say about books is every single time that am able to discover how to solve a particular thing, I always feel like the first thing to do is to document it in a book. I feel that that's the easiest way to communicate what you're saying to people because when you run programs for like 30 days or 12 weeks, what I've noticed is that a lot of people don't have the time to even go through it. So they're looking for a quick fix, instant solution. So before they will even have the time to go through that program, can you give them something very short that can still give them the hope that they have found somewhere that they can get the solution that they want? So in that moment, I remember back then, I think 20, I can't remember now. It's been a long time though. I think 2014 or so. Can't remember. I remember that that period also, it was also God who said I should share how I overcame masturbation, and I didn't want to. I was like, how will I share such a thing? Like, I'm not a guy. I feel like it's a guy that should share that kind of a thing. And that was my argument. And for 2 days, I would wake up with that strong burden, and it's just my heart to just start pounding. Like, it's time for you to share the story. You've gone through it, you've overcame, I helped you, so go help other people. And I didn't want to. And I remember that for 2, 3 days I was struggling, and then finally I was able to start to write on my BBM those days how to overcome masturbation and pornography. So I started to write it on my blog. And just obeying that instruction was what gave me the breakthrough in my industry actually that year. I remember that I'd been struggling to be known. I'd been writing content, writing blog posts, writing everything, but I just felt like I was everywhere. I was trying to attract mentors. Nobody was taking me serious. But the day that I started to write that very topic, all the mentors that I was looking for that were on my BBM, all of them were like, Nike, I'm interested in this. Even the so-called person that I was like, this person is the highest in my industry. The person was telling my husband then that this is the best content or article series she has read for that year. I was like, really? And so it didn't take long. I was able to connect with Coach Sam Obafemi that period also, Grace Pastors, and from people coming to say, hey, can you help me to overcome this thing? Immediately after I just wrote that book, after writing that book, I think if I remember carefully, I think I held the class and then I turned that class into that ebook. So I started to study for like 2,000 naira at that time. That was my first way of earning money in those years when I started. And I was so excited that people were able to buy the book and just be anonymous or join the program and say, we just want to learn it for other people because they didn't want to say they were the ones. But we understood. And so that was how I started to write. I think that was my first book. And so from there, every single time I go through a journey or I go through a process and I share about it, and people are like, oh, I want to know more, I want to know more. It's the trigger that I need at that point. I wouldn't just write it because I feel like writing. I always write out of, you know, people coming to ask me too many questions about something or a burden that I was experiencing at that point or, too much pressure anyway. And so when I'm writing it, I know that there are people who want to get it. So I would release a free chapter or create a series or create a challenge and all of that. And so I continue to do that. And I remember that when I got married then, because I had already started coaching, so a lot of people were inspired by me. I know that a lot of singles at that time would be like, tell us how you did it now. And that was how I wrote How I Got the Ring, which I later expanded into Get the Ring, How to Attract the One Who Will Put the Ring on It. And this book, even though the name sounds like a ladies' book, because one of my mentors asked me to write it to use to get married. That was the best book among the 30 book he read that particular year, 2017, if I remember. And so that's how it has been. And so I was one with I wrote this one again, uncovering red flags. I mean, I've seen a lot of single people who will come and tell me, I like this guy, he makes me happy, but he does all the things I don't want, but he just makes me happy. How can I change him? Or this guy is now dating another girl, he's always sleeping around. How can I win him back? And I'll be like, how can you be seeing a red flag like this and you are jumping into it? And too many chats here and there trying to advise them. So I was like, okay, how do I help people to see red flags beyond the way that we see it? Because when you go and search for red flags, you see a lot of things that we already know, hunger and all of those things. But I discovered, as God started to teach me about this my people, I discovered that there were certain kind of red flags that people didn't know. And so when they get married to this lovely person, all of a sudden this person becomes a beast. How do people get married to narcissists? How do you identify narcissists? There's so many other things like that. So I was able to write this book to show people mindset red flags, spiritual red flags, generational red flags, behavioral red flags, how to spot them, what to do about it, and how to work on yourself so that you don't attract those kinds of people. And then this one was the one that it took me a long time to write it because I was just thinking I could not write it, but I finally did, and that's Strive. So as I was working with the married people, they were getting the help that they wanted, but also there's a part of praying for your partner and praying for your marriage. And people would always say everything, pray, pray, pray. They have been praying for 10 years. There's no solution. I've been praying. Prayer cannot change people. Blah blah blah. And then I discovered that there's a way that people are praying that is not working. There are things that people are not doing. They're just praying. You're just praying. There's no action. Bible says faith without works is dead. So you are praying without action. You're praying without wisdom. You're praying without healing. You're praying without strategy. But at the same time, when you want to pray, you're just praying opinions and assumptions. You're not praying what the word of God is. You're not praying according to the will of God. So I had to, because of the things I learned that period, I had to sit down and write this prayer confessions, prayer decrees, and then warfare strategies, how people should understand what's happening in their marriage for time, from your dreams, from the discerning what's happening in your home, when your partner starts to behave in a certain way, when you see a pattern that is following or like all of you in your family, how do you know what's happening? How do you break things that are just happening? What kind of mindset do you need? What kind of lifestyle should you create? What are the actions you need to take? How do you repair your foundation? Many other things like that. And that's how I put it in this book, Warfare Strategies Devotional. People literally read this book and will have deliverance by themselves. Like they didn't go to any church, nobody laid hands on them. They will just decide to read this book because there's a way I explained it. You can pray with it for 3 days, for 7 days, and people will come back and say, look at what I saw. I was able to liberate my family through this kind of things that I did. And in my mind, when they come and share these things, I'm always sometimes I don't understand it. It's always very it's overwhelming, the kind of testimonials that I get. I don't even have the time to share a lot of them, but the little ones I'm able to share them, and people are like, oh, wow, what's happening here? And that's why, so a lot of people have come to my ministry because they see that I'm saying something that is different, or I'm not just saying, just read your Bible and all of that. There's a way I'm saying it, there's a way I'm explaining things that they've never understood. People are now understanding why their partners are behaving like monsters and how to engage it, how to respond well, how to come out of it if they need to come out of it, and many other things like that. So writing this book has been helpful. I mean, people read it and come back and buy a lot of copies. I think that's one of the things that has helped me. People will buy it and ask me for more programs and ask me how can I help more people. I did a discount recently, and the first person that came said, "I've read your book. I want to pay for some of them. I want you to give it to people that need it." This is how people are blessed. If people don't like what you're writing, they're not going to help you. So when you're writing, don't just target the person that's going to read it. Ask yourself, can this person buy for other people? Can this thing become a referral? Okay, look at this other lady, Ijoma Haije. I think Mr. Emeka, you should know her. She had gotten Untold Secret Direct Marriages from Warita for a long time, but she didn't do anything to it. She didn't bother. She just felt like, this book is looking big. What's there inside this marriage book you want to tell me? And so she just dumped it. And then one day she took it and read it, few pages, and just maybe half of the book. And she had to do a video. I didn't tell her. She didn't tell me anything. I woke up that day and I came on Facebook and I saw that she tagged me and she just spent like 7 to 11 minutes, if I remember, explaining how this book was liberating for her, how it felt as if I was living in her house. And watching that video was so amazing because I mean, I don't talk with her that much. We don't talk like that. So I was surprised when she tagged me, and I even had to tell her, please, can you send it to me? Let me post it other place because I mean, I didn't ask you for it. She did it by herself. And the reason is these books are changing lives. So from these books, I'm able to create programs that can help people. From these books, I'm able to get invitation. People invite me because they've read my book. I mean, this year I've had a lot of invitations, physical and virtual. People come and say, please, can I learn from you? Can you mentor me? From this book, I get a lot of gifts. I'm saying it again. One of the ways that you must understand what we do is beyond the profits that you make from writing books and having programs, there's something just called transformational wealth. It's the wealth that people give to you because you changed their life. I don't mean you didn't just inspire them, you transformed them. And so they feel like I want to do anything to help you, whatever you want. I did a short movie, I think last 2 months. I did a short movie. That period, I had recorded a lot of videos, just doing so many things in that video. And I'd spent a lot of money already. And so I came to one of my groups and said, I want to do a short movie, but they're charging me this amount in six figures. I don't think I can afford it right now. Let me just leave it alone. It wasn't up to 2 minutes. Someone just sent me a message and said to me, I will pay for everything. How much is it going to cost you? Just give me the bill. And then she sent me double of the money and said, the other one, use it for yourself. And I'm like, is this a joke? I don't get this. I don't know these people. Right? And this woman I'm talking about bought my book and joined my program and told me that our marriage moved from separation to union and unity back, and she's somewhere in UK. If I don't know her, she's never booked a session with me, right? I've also had people who would send in six figures and say, I want you to get more people into your program, just this the money, just get them. And this is how it has happened so far. For me, writing books is not just writing book. It's really saying to yourself, how can I use this book to transform the lives of people, and how can it change me into the person that God needs me to become? That has been my journey with writing books, Mr. Maker.
Thank you. And I think that being married to the man that is spearheading the book publishing revolution in Nigeria is is something that adds to your to your CV of exploits, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so as we need to wrap up, what are your takes on these three concepts? For individuals who are still hesitating to start to pen their journeys in form of written books, what will you advise them regarding authority, wealth, and fame? If they write, will they become authority figures? If they write, will they grow wealth? If they write, will they grow fame? So also speak to them about sometimes it could be lethargy, sometimes it could be fear, sometimes it could be some useless ideologies that are inside of their heads, making them think that
Mhm.
authoring books is not the way to go. So speak to our hearts regarding these things that I mentioned.
Okay, okay, that's great. I want to speak to a lot of people who are very religious in how they view um, God's kingdom agenda. So, if you're listening to me and you're a Christian and you've been saying to yourself, I'm the light of the world, I'm the salt of the earth, I'm going to, all of those things I would say. The question is, how are you the light of the world if all the light that is in you is buried inside of you? Bible says that a city set upon the hill cannot be hidden, right? And if you light a lamp, it can if you put it in a dark place, it's going to brighten the place, right? So I've had a lot of people come to me and say that I feel like I can do this, I can do this, I can do that, but I don't know where to start from. I'm like, okay, so what's the issue? I'm shy. I don't know how to go about it. Okay, so what else? I need to go and pray about it. I need to be sure, 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 sure. So 3 months later, I'm still waiting for a sign. I'm like, I don't get this. When you pray for something, God answers you in practical ways. It's not just see when you're praying and say, Lord, I want to be rich, for instance, it puts something in your hand that is going to lead to the wealth. So when God said start Warrior Bright Network program for women, in my mind I'm like, why? It says go help a lot of women who are struggling with the kind of husbands they got married to. A lot of them are with narcissist men, and so these men have really made them lose themselves. Go and teach them what I've taught you. And it was such an issue for me at first, but guess what? I did it. So imagine what it feels like for me to do it, and then it has become a movement. I mean, we have yearly retreats. We have people from different parts of the world. I think we have over 15 countries in just about 5 batches so far. They're already looking at how we can host the program in Dubai next year, and they're saying, hey, let's plan for it all through the year. Why? We all met ourselves online. Question is, when you author a book, the first thing it does for you is that it gives people the ability to read into your mind. Now, understand that when I came into the marriage space, I've been a singles coach, right? But when it comes to married people will say things like you have to have like 10 years experience or 5 years experience. You have to you need to have done blah 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 and all those things I was said, and that was an issue for me. I was getting a calling to go into this space. God was sitting me down to prepare me. I was reading books, I was getting certification, and I was still not choosing to move. I was still saying, wait, let me wait till my marriage is like 5 years. You know, that's what people always say. Let me get their certifications, but I'll just be here, just be waiting till that time because I was allowing the opinions of people to, and God was just like, Madam, would you get up and do what I asked you to do? Like it was so. There was a time that I wasn't listening. I just had a lot of excuses. I was saying, what would this person say? What would this mentor of mine say? This person would say, you're just a young girl. What do you know? I mean, because the funny thing is, a lot of people who met me online, who didn't have the opportunity to see me before they worked with me, they are way older than myself. And they honor me and respect me and they work with me. They're part of them. They're like my team members. They're serving in my ministry. And these are women who are old enough to give birth to me. Women with children that are like my siblings and they travel around the world. And when people meet me for the first time for a physical session, they've never had contact with me before. The first thing they can be like is, oh, you look so young. Oh, how long have you been married? What do you know? And I'm just like, do you want us to get started or not? And then we get started, and they're like, oh wow. So they're trying to like, how is this girl so? How does she know these things? But then she's young, and I've had to like banish that thought and really just be like, you know what, forget this thing. I have the solution. It doesn't matter. And God has just started with me. I mean, I've worked with celebrities and a lot of different people. And when they come to me, they come based on referral. Or someone was saying to me recently, I watched your movie and I'm like, I want to talk to this lady. I just kept on searching for my counselor. You just kept on coming. I said, let me talk to you. And so he came to my office and I was like, your face is familiar. He says, I'm sure you will know me. I'm a public person and all of that. And we decided to talk, and he called me and said, Nika, thank you so much. That was such a liberating session and all of that. So the truth is, writing books give people the opportunity to connect with you. That's the first thing. Writing this book, Untold Secrets, was what made people to know that I have something to say. People in my space read the book. The first person that bought this book is a leading marriage counselor. She bought the book as the first person. She was there at the launch, and so many other. Another friend of mine who is also a marriage counselor, she bought like 10 copies. 10 copies. She gave it to all of her team members. So that's to say that even the people that you are also in the same space can also learn from you. So from there, people read what I had to say, and they had to respect the fact that this girl has something to say. So that's the first thing. You give yourself the opportunity to be an expert by writing, even if you're just starting out for the first time. Even if you're just there's something you know that nobody knows. There's something that you know in a different way. So when you want to write, don't just write it somehow casually. Write it in a way that your voice is seen, your message is seen. Don't be afraid to share a little of your story. That's why you need to heal, so that nobody can just shame you for what you've shared. There's nothing I've written that you can come and laugh at me. There's nothing. I'm a vulnerable person. If you laugh at what I'm saying to you, it's your business because I am confident enough that what I'm saying is changing stories. So if people are sending me hundreds of thousands to just say, you know my story, you understand me, you get me, take, I dash you, I'm okay. I'm okay because I mean that's what I've been born to do. So this writing books brought me wealth. It brought me money. I was able to do a lot of things this year that I've never done before, and I spent a lot of, and I spent millions doing it, and I did it because I was able to do these things, to write book and get people to connect with me. And then see, when you're doing these things, let's put it this way, it's not necessarily because you want to make money. It's not necessarily because you want to be famous, right? Just that as you're doing this thing, because you're a light, you then start to shine. You start to shine bright because guess what? You're helping people. People start to know you. Do you know this person? Oh, do you know this person? Why? Because they have known you. So while you may not be seeking for that, it comes to you because of what you represent. Okay, and so the fact that my husband is leading Warrital has also made it very beautiful because I'm able to get discounts. I'm able to get discount and get preferences. I'm able to get my job done, and so I'm not having to think about who's going to do this, who's going to do that. Just okay, so they manage the project, and everything goes smoothly like it's supposed to. And the designs are fantastic. I'm able to work with the designers to say, this is what I have in my head. This is what I saw. Can you just work with that? And they always deliver excellently. And so that's fantastic for me, right? So even if you feel like, oh, I have idea, but you don't know how to structure it, just come over to Worried Out. They will take you from the beginning, from reviewing your book or listening to you. If they want to write it for you, they can write it for you. If they want to edit it for you, they can do it. If you want to proofread, they do it. So you're not lost, you're not confused. They design, they everything. You will even become a pro when you come out. So, but when you're writing, don't just write inside your house. Make sure that you're writing online. Tell people this is what I'm doing. Let people know who you are. Share your testimonial, share your journey. This is how people are drawn to you. Connect with other people, collaborate with people, partner with people. Don't be afraid of yourself. Go to where your people are and introduce yourself and say, this is what I do. And be bold about it, you know. So I'm always bold to introduce myself now, unlike before. So today in my church in Elevation, I'm the head of the family life department, head of the counseling department. I am one of the top in their the whole leadership in the church. Why? Because I'm shining my light. So Mr. Mika, this is how we do it. Just shine your light and stop the whole excuses. I hope you're still there with me. Okay.
Yeah, I am. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have done 56 minutes already on this live stream. And you are just an orator. We're going on and on because we've got a lot of things inside of you that you want to release. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikki, for this. Going into my last question for you on this live stream is going into 2023. What are your aspirations like? What are you working on? Are there openings for partnership, investments? How can people connect with you in 2023?
Okay, so 2023 is going to be a great year for me because I feel like I spent 2022 creating structures and creating systems and designing how I want to operate. So for the singles, I have been able to create what works for them in terms of books, in terms of courses, mentorship. For the engaged, I've created what they need. For the married people, I've created what they need. So 2023, I'm going into them, flesh it out and say, you know what, I've done the inside work, we've tested it, with people, we've seen what people like, and so now we're bringing it on the platform and we're making it get wider. I'm doing more of publicity with my work. I'm looking at establishing my work more. I'm also looking at partnering with certain um people who are helping in certain ways that connect what I do, and we're going to partner to see how we can help. I'm also looking at training more coaches and counselors, especially the ones in the religious space who think that they cannot achieve well. Because being a faith based person does not mean that you should be mediocre in what you're doing. You can be excellent. Like you can, and that's why I want to show you that there's a way to do it. There's a way to tap into your genius. There's a way to really just find out who you are and do it with style. So I would not say because I'm sharing something that has some faith based in it, then it's going to look very no. If you go to my platforms, you see my videos. I spent money to do it. Just like Mr. Emeka was saying recently in one of his videos that he spent a lot of money to, to do those videos. The same way I spent money, got a professional, shot my videos. Why? Because in shooting those videos, I've gotten a lot of people to trust me. I've gotten a lot of people by shooting a short movie that I spent money on. I've gotten a lot of men. We always say that men don't want counseling. A lot of men have come to me to book counseling sessions with me to say, I saw your movie, I liked it, that's why I want to work with you. So let's do this. Why? Because I shot a movie. So I may not make money directly on YouTube yet. I don't have a lot of followers yet and all of that. I may not make money instantly, but I'm getting people to trust me, to know me, to like me, and so on. Money is coming to me in that way. So I just want to encourage you to go on and really just be the best. This is for me, 2023. I'm going out of my comfort zone to reach more people because I feel like I've been hiding too much. But this time around, I want to be bold enough to connect to the world through the digital space and just allow myself to unleash more purpose. So that's it, Mr. Maker. Thank you so much for bringing me on this show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you so much for this time out with you. And to everybody who tuned in, thank you for tuning in from anywhere you are that you tuned in, the part of the world that you tuned in. Thank you so much. We are still in the holiday mood. People are still eating and drinking, but drink safely and be nice to your bodies. Thank you so much, Nikki. I'm the only one who calls you Nikki, only licensed person that calls you Nikki. Thank you. Regards to everyone back there in the city of Lagos. Thank you for being part of this session. I look forward to seeing you again in the coming
Yeah.
new year, January, February. And God bless you, and God bless you for all the work you're doing for relationships and families, and everyone who desires to live beautifully in relationships. Thank you so much. From me to you, goodbye to everyone, and keeping on. Happy New Year in a few days to come. God bless everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.